Welcome back, students. Good morning to you all. Let's now discuss about the literary devices of the poem On Killing a Tree. It begins with a rhyming scheme that the poem has written in free verse. There is no rhyme scheme in this poem. The length of the line varies, and at the same time, the stanzas are also in unequal length. The second poetic device is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the sound at close intervals. It is used to lend a lyrical or musical element to the poem. So, the first example of alliteration is bleeding bark will heal. Here, the sound of B and L is being repeated. At the same time, the second example is the source white and wet. The sound of W is repeated. The third poetic device is metaphor. Students, you know that the metaphor is a comparison between two unlike things without the use of word like or as. So, the first example is bleeding bark. Here, the word bleeding is the metaphor. The poet compares the sap using out of the bark of the hacked tree trunk to the blood of the human being or a living creature. But he doesn't use the word of comparison like or as. The second example, that is leprous hide. Here, the uneven, discolored bark of the tree is compared to the discolored and the changed skin of a person suffering from leprosy. But here also the poet doesn't use the words like or as. So, this is called as metaphor. The next literary device is repetition. Here, repetition means the word, phrase, or class a number of times with the purpose of laying emphasis or to provide unity to the poem. Here is an example where we can see the repetition. The word is repeated again or the phrase is repeated again, then it is called as repetition. Here the example is the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is snapped out or pulled out entirely out from the earth cave. So here we see the word out and the phrase pulled out is used again and again to emphasize the effect involved in uprooting a tree in exposing its root. Uprooting a tree in exposing its root. It shows that the root of the tree is deeply fixed into the earth. Next literary device is the poet used in this poem is enjambment. As we know, in it one line of poetry rolls on to the next line without any pass mark by a comma or a full stop. So, in this poem, there is enjambment almost in every stanza. Here, the first example is rising out if it feeding upon its crest, observing years of sunlight, air, water. Here, in these lines, there is no punctuation mark at the end of these first and the second line. This first line rolls on to the second line and the second line rolls on to continue the third line. Next example is So hack and chop, but this alone won't do it. In this, first line moves to the second line without any comma or full stop at the end. So this is enjambment. Third example for enjambment is miniature bows, which is unchecked will expand again. Miniature bows, which if unchecked will expand again to form a size. In these lines, full stop comes at the end of the third line. First line rolls into the second line and the second line rolls into the third line. Now let's see about the title of the poem. The title of the poem is simple and appropriate as it contains the major concern of the poet merciless or cawless felling of trees. It indicates appropriately that the poem is about the process of killing the tree. The entire poem explains the view that killing a tree is not a simple, short, or easy process. Trees have tremendous strength and great instinct for survival. So, students, thus we have seen the poetic devices and about the title of the poem in this session. I hope you all have understood this poem. Now start writing the questions and answers and also be thorough with the memory poem. Thank you.